Thank you for joining us today for the virtual Sunday service with the Center for Creative Living. CCL, a charter of the Universal Church of the Master, has served and supported the spiritual needs of its community here in the Bay Area for over 20 years.
Open up that chakra so that that area that you're sitting on becomes awake. Awaken that part of you. And then up to your second chakra, that wonderful sacral, sexual area of your body, and awaken it. You are a being of energy. And now let that wonderful energy come up through your body, all the way into your solar plexus. The center of your body. And let it become aware and open and healing. Healing any stomach discomfort you may have. And then let that energy come up to your heart. And that heart chakra, that beautiful energy. Some of you are going through difficulty in relationship, in financial, in healing yourself physically. Let the energy of the Creator and the earth combined come all the way up to your heart and help it heal. And then come up to your throat. All the things you want to say, but you haven't been able to. Open up your throat chakra. And then up to your third eye. That psychic sense of you, each one of you. Open up your third eye. You'll be able to know and understand the things you can't particularly see. So now as you open your third eye, psychically you become aware. Then all the way up to the top, to the crown. Open up your crown chakra and receive that energy that's around you from spirit, bringing it up through your feet. Let it go out through the top of your head. And you become a being of light. And as you're healing yourself, you're healing the world. As you heal yourself, you heal your family. As you heal yourself, you heal all that is, and know that you are a gifted healer. And I'm going to take this opportunity to let our musicians show their delightful energies as we listen to them at this point.
You
give thanks. We give thanks. Every moment we open our hearts. Every dream we give a chance to start. We are breathing your essence, and we become one, bringing your presence wherever we go, wherever we are one. We are one. Oh, I will never forget this moment of peace. And I know, Creator, you are around us, living through us. We are around you, living through you. We are one, 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 we are one. We are one, 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 we are one. I said now we are one. Sing along. We are one, we are one, we are one, we are one, we are one. Oh, we are one, 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 we are one. Oh, we are one, 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 we are one. Oh, we are one, 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 we are one. I want to thank you, Reverend Dr. Janet Childs and John Imler. It's so great having you both together here. Isn't it a treat? And for those of you who are watching on Zoom or are going to be looking at our video later, know how delightful it is to have these two together. Every once in a while we get one without the other, and sometimes neither, but we get them both together. Whew. It is wonderful. Now I have some people fanning and some people covering up. So Annie's fanning, Janet's covering up. Whoops! And I just dropped my cane. Thank you.
Corey is fanning.
And Corey is fanning, so it's a bit. And you're wiping? Oh well, okay. It's very interesting.
Oh,
Well, here, Tamara, we're glad to have you here. Welcome. Yeah. Okay. And Corky, did you say we were going to need a little bit more air in here? Or? Oh, well, Corey and Annie would like it a little bit cooler. Just a smush. Okay. Yeah, okay, good. Welcome, welcome. One of the things I forgot to do is to introduce myself. Hi, I'm the Reverend Doti Boon. At one time, after church, I came and I was sitting down and I had done a wonderful service, and somebody walked up and said, "Ann, who are you?" And I thought, oh, you know, you get the feeling after doing this for all these years, everybody knows who you are. And nope, that wasn't the case. So I had to kind of giggle about that and thought, Well, from now on, I'll introduce myself. So, in case you didn't know who I was. We were delighted to have the AIDS retreat here on Friday. Thank you so much, Janet. That was so wonderful.
I just wanted to share and say a huge thanks to Dottie and Corky for allowing us to be here at the Rejuvenation Retreat. It's been a constant comfort place and home for the retreat for so many years. And I just want to thank you so much for allowing us to be there. The energy was there. We made the altar in the other room, and we have photos of it. So
Great.
I'm going to send them to you.
Good.
And it was just a wonderful retreat. We had to do it via Zoom again, unfortunately, but people were so appreciative to be able to have this place to come to virtually and physically.
Okay. And Paul, could you do a Vanna thing for me and hold up one of those bags back there in the box? Okay. These bags were given to us from Gabrielle. Take as many as you want. Dave Cortese is not running for that. He is in a whole different official status now. And we have about 150 of them. So as many of these bags, they're great book bags. They're great for lunches. They're great for anything. And they're back there in a box. And please take one for you, one for your partner, one for your kids, one for your grandkids, one for your great-grandkids.
Could we save some for
She's got a whole nother box. Yeah.
Would they be a good bet, we give a little welcome bag at the
Yeah, Corey and I had already talked about that. Yeah. Yeah, as I said.
I thought I was in charge of that.
I guess I'm not the bag lady.
No.
You guys are in charge of that.
Now, could somebody with this duo mention when the UCM conference is going to be?
I put out on the table, as well as for those of you I handed to, we have a save the date. It'll be September 11th. It'll be here at, thank you. I got my own banner. It'll be here at CCL. We'll be doing the annual meeting in the morning, and we'll have a little bit of a workshop. We'll have a workshop in the afternoon, and Janet will be speaking. We also have a $2 table, and we're also going to put CCL items out for sale. So those won't be a $2 table, please. That's okay, and we'll be doing it live here or on Zoom, so the people who can't travel can join us as well. All right, so cost is $25. Yes.
Can we donate books to the $2 table?
Of course.
Yes.
Have you seen the amount of books we have?
Not a bookshelf.
Yeah.
Racy books, Daddy.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, good. Yeah.
And just so you know, Mary, we're a tandem on a lot of these things, and again, this year we're tandeming with conference. So if I don't have an answer or I haven't thought of one yet, she's my go-to person in her courses. So, okay? Thank you.
Good. Now, for those of you, if this is the first time here, we have coffee and goodies in the back, and the goodies are individually wrapped. So we have string cheese, and we have, I'm looking at, muffins and sweet rolls and all sorts of things back there. And what I ask you to do is take one for now and put one in your pocket. I don't know about the rest of you, but Sundays get really hectic, where you about 6 o'clock Sunday evening you go, I'm hungry. What did I do today? So yeah, take something. Take something with you, okay? And this whole thing of moving the center, people said, Dottie, aren't you sad? Yeah, and I'm glad, because we've had a long run. I'm excited because things are new coming up, but I'm also hopeful that everything you see here is going to be gone. We have so many things. We've got 12 bookcases, okay? We have loads of books. We have Eleanor King's Memorial Library was donated to us just as we got rid of all the other books we had. And so thank you to the AIDS Retreat. They took quite a few books, and I was so delighted for that. But know that you can help us. If you see chairs you want to buy, we only have 125 chairs to sell. Lots of different things. Yeah. So we if you see something you like, except for the lady over the altar, the goddess of Glastonbury is not for sale, nor is the wonderful geode here. But pretty much everything else, oh, and Corky's not for sale, she's taken. But everything else up here is taken. So, but there's a lot of things here that are for sale. So if you see something you like, say, Dottie, are you going to sell that? And I'll say, sure.
The desks,
The podium,
everything.
is going. Yeah, okay. Now, I am so excited to introduce our speaker. I've known our wonderful, we did the meditation and prayer together today. Yeah, and our wonderful Reverend Dr. Mary Garry is going to be speaking for us today, and we are so excited. And Mary told me she likes an audience, so instead of doing it on Zoom where she can't get the energy back, she wanted to have people to talk to. So if you want to, you can respond to her. Yeah. Say, ooh, yes. Okay. And because she's gonna be working with that energy. Please welcome Mary Garry. I'll limp over here and you can limp over here.
Oh, wow.
We don't
I have to,
it'll be fine. Okay.
I have to suit up, and take all the help I can get. Oops, I need my all. Thank you, baby.
There you go.
I have a wonderful way that I like to start. And I've talked to a couple people who know about that way, and if they would stand to help me. One of the ways I always started my talks was to blend the energy in the room. And so what I'm going to do is, most everybody knows the little song, How Can Anyone Ever Tell You You're Anything Less Than Wonderful? And I thought we would just sing that to bring the energy in. So if you know it, sing right along, because think as you're singing it that you're putting the energy from your own light-filled being out to somebody else, and that energy knows where to go and stick. Sometimes folks are having a little bad day, or they need a little extra. So we send it with this song. Start us. How can anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you are less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you are anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you are less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. Last time. You're connected to my soul. Take it in, take it in. Take it in.
Sing that without crying.
Because I sing it over and over, sometimes at home, sometimes, because I learned it. And April, who was not able to be here. She was going to try, but she had a meeting. She wasn't sure she could move. And we sang it so often, and it was so life-affirming. You know, it should be a life-affirming song for each of us. If you sing it or it's sung to you, it means that your life is real and important and can be energized. And that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today. One of the things that happened is as Dottie did her meditation and prayer, I thought, oh, she's kind of giving my talk. Now,
This happens a lot.
it does, doesn't it? You know, many of you may not know, but 45 years ago, we opened the Center for Infinite Growth, my husband and I, mostly my husband. I was a newcomer to all this stuff then. And we did Sunday services. We did for 18 years. We did Sunday services every Sunday, and it was wonderful. And I was a novice spiritual speaker then, not a speaker. I've taught, probably was born talking, but I would say, oh, they're giving my talk, and it would make me nervous. Or if they gave it really well, it would almost make me annoyed. And then I had to say, wait a minute. What happens when somebody raises the same issues that you raise is the door begins to open. And so it's not opening where somebody says, oh, I think Dottie said that better than Mary, or Mary said that better than Dottie. That's not what we do here. What happens is the door opens, and the energy and the power and the love that we're feeling goes in. And so that's what we want. Because what I really want to talk about today is predicated upon one thought. And that thought is that life, our personal life here on this very complicated, busy planet is purposeful. Now you need to think about that. I want you to think about that with me. Life is purposeful because once you come to grips with the feeling that life is purposeful, once you understand that you're not here on holiday and you're not here to go to a party on Thursday or to earn a lot of money so you can go and, no, I didn't say that. So what you want to remember is that while there may be a lot of wonderful things here, they're not the purpose of being here. So what's the purpose? I think that life here, now I have to say I believe in reincarnation. People don't have to believe in reincarnation to get, I hope, some value of what I'm saying. But for me, reincarnation means this is not your first trip, Mary. So why did you come back? Certainly not for the politics. You came back because you had something you didn't get done. You had a place in your beingness that needed to be filled or balanced or raised. So how does that happen? Well, sometimes you have to do something to support that purpose, but first you have to identify that purpose, and then you have to strengthen that purpose. So what I'm going to kind of focus on today are elements of that. And first I'm going to tell you a story, a little story. And that story, it was not my story. It came from a source. It came from a source that asked that they not be identified. They wanted to be private. So we're not able to share with you that source. But Tom and I both heard the story, and we believed the story was accurate. And the story source was what I would call a serious questioner. Somebody not likely to be in this room, somebody to not be positive that there was a divine force, somebody not sure that somebody was watching out for him. So that person, it certainly didn't think they were watching out for him, but that person hit a very dark wall. And that wall knocked them to their knees. And they couldn't get up from their knees. And so they put their hands together. And they said, if you're something, if you're out there, could you let me know? Because it's really tough right now. And that being stayed on their knees with their hands together, and the thought came into them that there was a source. Didn't give him a special name, didn't even call him God. That's what I call him. But there was a source. And that person said, well, if you're a powerful source, why is it such a mess down here? And source said, I have to look down because I try to quote source fairly accurately. Your job down here is to fix yourself, to turn yourself around and live a better life. Then all that you touch will be improved. If all is improved and more people choose to live a better life, things will improve around you. It started out pretty good down there. The person said, so I'm responsible for this mess? And Source said, no, you're responsible for your mess. Everyone is responsible for their own mess. But the more people who lovingly live in their life, the better things will become. Just such a little thing.
Could you read
And
that
so
again, Mary?
real.
That's so powerful.
It says your job down here is to fix yourself and live a better life. Then all you touch will be improved. And if all is improved and everyone chose to lead a better life, things would improve around you. And then when asked if they were responsible for the mess, they said, no, you're responsible for your mess. It doesn't mean I don't have a big pile, but everyone is responsible for their mess. And the more people who lovingly live in their life, the better things will be. I says, after I heard that, and Tom and I were talking by ourselves, we were working to, Tom and I have been married 49 years this year. And we've been working for some time, remembering that we chose to came here. We both believe in reincarnation, that the slate is wiped before re-entry. We believe that. I've had a little dream that's a little story I can share sometime with what I call the ready room, where you're taken before you're allowed to come back. And but neither we nor they, whoever they were helping us to plan, we're not planning for a big vacation or an easy street. We were planning the next step in our spiritual growth. And when it goes wonderfully, then the thanks and the responses are quick. Oh, thank you, God. That was a great day. Super chocolate cake. Things are looking good, God. Thank you very much. Responses to good things are quick. We learn that. But when it doesn't, the harder and more painful the lesson, the more it is resisted. It's just the way we are, you know. Nobody likes a stick in the eye. If it wasn't our fault, it was their fault. Yeah. Or it was the system's fault. They had a better system, you know. Right. Wouldn't have happened. Only they didn't allow alcohol here. Yeah. And ultimately, if it's a really big unwanted lesson that's terrible, it's clearly God's fault. So let's take some time to look at the major role players here. And how can we make the good ones grow and the negative ones shrink? And how can we catch ourselves before we are merrily rolling down the unwanted path? Let's look at that. So first, let's look at God's role. Now, Doti, talked about God's role. And I'm going to add my little thoughts about God. I think God is androgynous. I don't think it's a male or a female. Certainly don't think he's sitting on a chair with a sword or whatever the heck they have by him.
I love that non-binary God.
It's good God, yeah. Yes. I think no matter what I have in my notes, no matter what the boy preachers say, I don't think God is a he. I think God is a force, an energy, a light, a vibration. I don't know. But I think all I have to do is to believe that force, energy, vibration is there. That's all I have to do, and accessible. And I do believe that it's universal. You think about how lucky we are. We have so much information that's available to us that was not available to other generations. When you think about it, generations, maybe the people just ahead of us had some of that information, but we have information, we sit down and we watch a documentary on PBS and you think, oh, that's why it's the way it is in Jerusalem. Or that's why the Buddhists think that way. Somebody has gone out, gathered and distilled that information and brought it to us. It's available. Books. Oh my God, I had to stop looking at books to prepare myself for this talk because I thought I'll never get pen to paper. I'll just keep looking in all these wonderful books where people have thought about it and talked about it. They even named the source. They didn't call him source. We Christians, that's my kind of base belief, I guess. It's where I came from. We call him God. The Islam, they call him Allah. The Hindus, Brahman, Vishnu, Shiva. Buddhism calls him Gautama Buddha, but they never said he was a god. And they never named a god. What I found with Eastern religions and what my acupuncturist, as he was needling me up, told me, who is a wonderful Taoist priest, told me that most Eastern religions focus on helping you to live a right life, as opposed on helping you to define the greater source, God. They think that's a distraction. And then not that it's bad, it's just a distraction. And one of the things I thought about is, I don't know if any of you were Catholic. Don't raise your hand. We don't want to. You don't have to. Right. Don't raise your hand. We know what I was. And I can remember as a little girl sitting in a mission church, and that meant the priest only came to teach us every so often. So we had to be really attentive. And the priest said, in the monasteries, they spend a lot of time praying over how many angels fit on the head of a pin. And I thought, geez, don't they have anything to do in those monasteries? Besides, who cares? So that's kind of the danger in becoming obsessed with how do I name God, or what attributes does God have, or who is really God, is that you spend all your time thinking about that. And that's a wonderful avoidance number 3. I don't have to look at me. I don't have to change my behavior. I'll just wonder about God. Everybody knows that's a holy thing to do. We'll just move on. So what helps people to improve themselves and to have a better life and to follow? Well, some people have churches. And right next to churches popped into my head. Danger, danger, Will Robertson. I think that you have to pay attention and not pass your power to any church, not even this wonderful church or this wonderful church or that wonderful church. You, the person, are responsible for how much you get done here. I don't believe we go to everlasting hell. Just like I didn't believe Buddhists went to hell because they didn't know about Jesus. I thought, whoever's running this show would not have come up with all this stuff. I mean, for God's sake. Churches tend to resolve in early community development to support community development. You know, you're in an isolated place, all you have is the community, so you kind of create a church, you come together to remind each other to be good and that there's somebody helping, and you know, that's all fine. Doesn't happen as much anymore because we're pretty well spread out. You know, there aren't a lot of isolated communities, and if they are, they have enough sense not to talk to us or to let the missionaries in. So the other churches are very often founded by followers of the prophet, not the prophet. Jesus didn't say, could you build me a big church in Rome? Could it be higher than anybody else's church? You know, do you think that happened? I don't think that happened. I think it's a danger of churches, and I don't think people start out to create a danger. And I only share this with the people in this room. You're probably most of the way there, or you wouldn't be in this room. You wouldn't come to this room if you weren't well on the path. But I think what happens on the path is people get caught up in maintaining the structure that they think, and then structure becomes more important than the message, and the message is not as important as the people. And I was so damn lucky to marry the right man. When people came to Tom when we first started our church, and he did most of the talking, and they said, you know, this could go somewhere. Let us buy you a building. And Tom said, whoa, 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 whoa. Let me tell you what happens to a preacher who owns a building. The preacher has to pay the taxes. The preacher has to pay for the water. The preacher has to do something when the roof leaks. He said, pretty soon the preacher doesn't have any energy left to search your soul when you come to him to see what you need to hear. I don't want a building.
Wow.
And I wept that night out of joy that I had chosen the right man.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Pretty damn good, yes. And there are other churches, and there are churches like Dottie's church. Dottie didn't buy a building, or she wouldn't be moving. Dottie takes the money that people give her and tries to cover the expenses. But if somebody needs something, they come to you, to CCL, and say, you know, I don't have enough money for, what do you think? I'm feeling really sick. My car broke down. You know, anybody that's, you know, Dottie has filled needs in the community.
Yes.
Well beyond just the Sunday service. And we are so lucky to have her. And one of the things we have to be happy about is that UCM, because of the flexibility of its structure, has been allowed to evolve. It started out as a very Christian church. And nobody said, let's go become ecumenical. We just had people come in who had a different thought, had a different background. We said, isn't that interesting? Why don't you write something about that? Why don't you teach a class on Islam to our people? Why don't you talk to us about Hanukkah? Why don't you open our minds so that we can open our hearts? That's the power of a church like UCM. You're never going to find, a couple of churches have buildings, bless their sweethearts, but most of us don't. Most of us don't. And the power is that we can then have some energy to stay focused on the purpose, which is to help people on their path. Tom used to say, Tom used to say, my goal is to have a place where you can bring your flickering light and sit down and be supported until your light burns strong again.
Wow.
And then if you have to go on your way, God bless you.
Wow.
Boy, did I know. So I wasn't planning on doing this. I said, I woke him up this morning and I said, you know, it's 9 o'clock. I've been up since 5:30, honey. The talk is written, but I don't have time for you to read it. We got to get in the shower, get the coffee into us to get the motor running, eat the eggs so we don't, you know, be sick. So I'm sorry, I missed. I'm not going to give you everything, but I do want to hit the highlights, and I think I'm missing a highlight. But you know, if it's important, send it back.
Well, the flickering light until your light is strong again.
Isn't that powerful?
That's powerful. That's a song.
We ought to send it. It is a song, and it could be, and it could go out with some of our prayer requests. You know, I'll try and write that and send it to you. Okay.
Oh, prayer requests. If any of you are doing prayer requests, they go in this little brown bowl. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome, Dottie. Well, you know, it's a team that makes this thing work. Mm-hmm. So I talked to you about middle management. So then there's an individual role. We know about that. Well, we don't exactly know about that. We understand the concept of that. I have great plans for your individual role, but for my individual role, it gets a little shaky. So I said, I'd gotten this far in the talk well into the week. And then, but you know, that was half the talk. That wasn't all the talk. Don't be afraid, Dottie, I'll stop on time. So I was up early and I said,
Yeah, you see this?
yeah? Got it. Go ahead, Dot. In my prayers, I first asked for help. And then I specifically said, what do the people coming today need from me? By the way, thank you for coming today. First, there was nothing. And I said, trust, wait. And then what I got was, what is energized becomes dominant. Whether you energize it and it becomes dominant in you, whether the group energizes it, becomes dominant in the group, whether the country leader dominates it, it becomes the energy that's happening around the group. So each of us can choose and manage how our energy is spent. So then they opened the door of remembrance. I call it the door of remembrance. It's not that they've never taught me anything. It's that I never can remember anything. Or not anything, but, you know. So they opened the door of remembrance. And the message I received early on my choosing to move into the work. Because, you know, Tom, one of the things that drew me to Tom and kept me chasing him for the 2 years it took for him to draw back was that he talked such deep, meaningful spiritual talk. I said, I never met anybody like this. I certainly never met a priest like this. And who is this man? And so I just kept following him around. I kept my life busy otherwise, but I kept following him around until I knew him better. Anyway, sorry. I said, I was all by myself and I was doing my prayer work and I said, why are there so many churches and does God really favor one? Has God got a favorite church? And a voice said, I didn't think it was God. You know, God has better things to do. But whoever they send to speak said, God doesn't care which path you choose. God cares. There are many paths up the mountain. God cares that you commit to that chosen path and follow its guidelines on your journey. Now, if you've chosen the wrong path, you move on. But when you choose the path and you say, this is my path, don't think you're kidding God when you say, oh, I've changed my mind. I have to do X. That doesn't matter if I'm mean to these particular people. Everybody knows they're no good. So I said, well, what if you don't have the skills and knowledge to do it right? And the voice said, I loved this. If God could create a bird with a bird brain, very small, and ensure that it could migrate across continents, do you think God would not give you the innate resources to migrate on a safe path home? Oh, yeah. You got to ask, huh? And then you got to do what they suggest, huh? No, it's not good. Thank God, say heavens, Abe. Oh, well. So I was hooked after that. So I moved far more heavily into the work. And Tom drove me over to, Bertie Peterson was president then, said, I need the papers for Mary. They both gave an hallelujah and had me fill them out. And she wasn't so worried about me, I think, as she wanted to hold on to him. He was a force in those days. He's still a force. You betcha, yes.
Yeah, he's our wise man.
He is. Don't let this all go to your head now. You still have to put the dishes in the dishwasher when you get home. Whoa. Okay, I have, and we'll email to somebody if they want it. I've gone a little long, but I talked in here about how it gets tough. It's tough on the path. You know, we lost both our children. We lost our first one. It was hard. Our son had a heart attack, and it was hard. And then 5 years later, our daughter got breast cancer. And so I said, God, excuse me, God, this is Mary, and you've been here once. You know, no, leave this girl alone. She's got a boy to raise. And it didn't help. You can't. I offered God myself. Take me, I'm old. I've done a lot. Take me. Silence. And then finally she went home. And so I said, it took me a long time after that to come to grips with the fact that each individual has a contract and a plan. And I may not want her to go home, but that's not between God and I, what I want for her. What's supposed to be her role is her role. And so I decided that when you're trying to help people and they're going through a tough time, it's okay to leave food at their door. You can give them a ride somewhere. Try to limit giving them advice. I'm still working on that one.
Me too, Garry.
The thing is, I'm working on now is managing my own plan, making changes where I need to make changes, be willing to look inside. I have a history of being forceful.
Oh.
Certainly when I was young, it was needed, but at 80, maybe not so much. And I seem to, as I noticed, much easier to give advice to others, and that advice seems better than advice I seem to give myself on my own behavior. So what am I kidding myself? What's going on here? And so I say changing yourself, it requires looking at yourself. And I have a little guideline that I'll mail if anybody wants it. Sounds like a business project? Well, it's the most valuable project you'll ever do. And there's no question about who is the type A and who is the type B in our relationship. So one of the things that I changed early that worked, and that's what I went back to see what worked and what didn't work, is that time A people are very time management focused, you know. We're supposed to be here, we're supposed to be here. And B people are more inclined to let it flow and see what happens. So I was always saying, hurry up, I need this now. And Tom was always smiling and distracted if he needed to be. But we loved each other, never came to blows. So one day we were late for a gathering, and I looked over my shoulder, and Tom had stopped to talk to someone we didn't know. I said, and then I said, no, why do you think he did that? So I looked, and the person was kind of in shabby clothes and had just wandered in there and was obviously not having, you know, a very good day, lifetime, I don't know. And he didn't stay there very long, and I saw him just really looking at the man and the man really looking back, and they had a connection, communication. And then he walked over and we went into the meeting and we were late and nobody cared. You know, we weren't 3 days late, we were a couple minutes late, nobody cared. And I sat for a few minutes and thought, what was more important? What happened to that man who nobody had talked to in a long time? Especially all the dressy-ups that were running into the meeting. And, you know, I don't remember now what Tom said to him, you know, he had flowers in it, whatever it was something that he spotted immediately that was very positive and spoke it to the man, and they spoke back and forth, probably not for more than 3 minutes. And I thought, what was more important, Mary, that you be on time, or that that man have his heart touched? So I said, Mary, I mean, the other thing I did with Tom was somebody stopped at a yellow light. I was behind them. I had a red light. I ripped my watch off. I was a nurse then. And I shook it out the window. And I shouted out the window, you just cost me 10 seconds. 10 seconds. I probably shortened my own life by 20 minutes by screaming and yelling, you know. Got to pay attention to this.
So are you a D minus now? Or?
That's what we think. Oh my God. But I was supposed to be talking to you about mercy. I'd better get to it because I think I have 3 minutes left.
That's okay, we'll be merciful.
Oh, thank you. Mercy is a virtue. It's a virtue of forgiveness. It is a decision to stop hating. I think it's a better virtue than compassion. It's easier for me to be compassionate. I can be compassionate and bring you food. That doesn't mean I have to stop thinking what a stupid fool you are to have spent your money on extra. No. Mercy says, stop judging. Stop judging. Withdraw your judging energy. Withdraw your negative energy around other people. You're supposed to withdraw it around yourself too, but I found it easier to start with other people. But you know, whatever works for you. Mercy doesn't nullify evil. You don't say what they did was right. You just don't judge it anymore. That's not your job. It's hard to give up that job, but you have to give up that job. I'm cutting stuff. And mercy is harder than compassion because it requires a change in your heart, not just in your actions. And you can ask for an infusion of light to strengthen mercy in your heart. And today's time of what I call the split community, mercy is so needed. Because, you know, people that, you know, there's a certain group of people involved in the split that are never going to make a change. Their energy is pretty well set and they're going to do what they're going to do. But there's a whole bunch of people that we used to pass on the street and say howdy ho, but that we don't talk to anymore so much because we think, how could they think that? It's not my job to figure out how they think that. It's my job to know they're a person. And I just now say, howdy ho. I'm good at that in the grocery store too. Because what we have to remember is what is energized becomes dominant. What is energized becomes dominant. And so if you say to the force, bring me the light of mercy, bring me the light of mercy, bring me the light of mercy. Pretty soon there's so much mercy it has to leak out. You know, you're full. And so you just say hi to the guy down the street that you have a terrible idea of who he voted for. And you just say, no, for a purposeful life, grow mercy. And this is a good time for that. You know why? It's tabla rasa. Doesn't that sound wonderful? I love that. Tabla rasa. I said to Kathy Corliss, what the hell is that? And she said, because I was talking to her about my talk, she said, people need tabla rasa. It's the ability to have the slate clean and start over. That's right. And COVID is not gone, but boy, it's better. For those of us who are vaccinated, at least we're not going to die if we get it. So, but it forced us all inside our heart, inside our home, inside our community. We shrunk our community. We did. We only, you know, we both have respiratory things before the vaccination. We couldn't take the chance of going to share a meal with somebody who wasn't taking the same kind of precautions we were, because we couldn't take a chance on getting that disease. So we narrowed our circle. We narrowed it often into the house. We didn't even go see the extended family because my nephew trains police officers. There's nobody, God bless them, that's encountering more people of more risk than police officers. So we have a clean slate. We have a tabla rasa. Let's fill our hearts with mercy and let it go forth. As it came into this room, I just cannot tell you what it means to me to have so many people in this room. I begged for it. I was afraid. I don't have to hide that, but I was afraid I wouldn't be able to do it. But you can do it when Your Bible will help from your friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Garry.
Wrap your arms around me, tender mercy, bring us all. Tender mercy, wrap your arms around me, tender mercy, bring us all home.
Oh, thank you for making a diversion so I can get out of the chair. I really do appreciate that. And thank you, Mel. We have some birthdays that we have missed. Tamara, we missed your birthday. Yeah, we'll bring beads to you. What color do you want? Purple is stuck. We have. Here we go. No.
How about red and blue?
Let's see if what we can get here. Well, we've been operating on the microphone, and so that's what's happened here. Any other birthdays within the last month? Judy, when was your birthday? Well, that you're not the June I thought it was. Okay, Tom. Tom, what's your favorite color? I like a man who. What? Okay, speaking of birthdays, the end of August is going to be mine, and we always have a big party. So just to let you know that we'll be partying here for my birthday.
Before church, Dottie.
We've got to do this before church, Annie says.
Yeah,
Okay, Reverend Ann.
We have to untangle before church because it's all stuck in the wires of the microphone.
The microphone grabbed it.
Yeah.
Tamara, we have beads for you.
So now I have to go down here and
No, we've got to, you've given me a purpose in life right now, is to get beads out, okay? One for Tom and one for Tamara. So thank you very much. Don't forget, we have books for sale and pictures and all sorts of things in the community room. And we would like for you to go look at the library. Now, this is a time that we do a donation. And so what we do is we're not going to pass the basket. They're going to walk around. So we want you to join us. We can't sing our song. We found out we sang our song, and it wasn't copyrighted the way they thought it should be, and they blocked us out. So we can talk our song as much as we want, okay? Because we start out with the Sacrament of Giving, and it's giving to the ministry, when which we receive our spiritual support and nurturing, is an affirmation and consciousness of the truth that Spirit is prospering power, enriching every area of our lives. I want to thank you all so very much for being here. I want to tell you, Sherry is coming home from the hospital Wednesday. She was supposed to be there for 3 weeks, and she was there for 1 week. And so we'll thank you for prayer. Yeah, everything. Anybody else that needs some support that's going through a difficult time? Doug, your brother Doug.
talk about
Dr. Joyce Smith is in the hospital with cellulitis. She's back out. If any of you have ever had cellulitis, you know how very, very painful it is. Anybody else that you want to put into?
Yeah, I'd like to put my friends David and Beverly Story. They live up north in near Lake Country, but Beverly walked in her son's bedroom and found him dead. He had died from suicide, and he was only 28 years old. So if we could please send a lot of love and prayers their way.
And Judy?
A resident of mine who is actively dying right now.
Okay, and the name?
Her name is Lynn.
Okay. And Christine?
My Ronnie.
You're Ronnie?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Ronnie Grigsby.
Ronnie Grigsby? Okay. Yes, Tamara?
My Leslie.
Your left knee, okay.
Leave it behind.
So just close your eyes for a moment and just bring in that wonderful energy of Spirit, God, whatever you call the Creator. Just bring it in and let it spread over the names of the people that we mentioned. Let it spread through their name into their body for healing. And so it is. Okay. I want to thank you all so very much for being here. And Mary, the talk was wonderful. And just, you're right. You do so much better with an audience.
I do.
You get everybody. I think we all should. Some people get kind of frozen if there's an audience, but I think if you just let go and don't judge yourself, and then you say silly things and everybody laughs. I did comedy for a while, and it's like all of a sudden you become an orchestra leader. This group laughs, and then that group laughs, and this group laughs, and then you fart. It's something like that. It's so interesting how you can get everybody laughing about something, but maybe you haven't even thought of it. So thank you so very much. Don't forget we've got food and we've got bags in the back.
And look, John and I brought little in bags trail mix bars because I knew we were all going to be on the trail together.
Okay, so we got trail mix bars too. Anything else? I want to thank you all very much for coming, and I wish we could sing a song, but if we do, they'll knock us off. See, we're making a video, and if we sing a song, they don't know for sure whether it has been recorded by us or by somebody else, and so they just knock off the video. So that's why I'm sorry. When we have our wonderful Janet playing, it's obvious she's playing and she's singing something that she has written. So thank you so much, and thank you, Sean, for being here. We really do appreciate the musicians. And thank you, Reverend Annie, who our Associate Pastor, for putting things together this morning. Thank you. And Corky.
And I apologize for the coffee being a little bit strong.
Is that why some people are jumping up and down? Okay. So, but please have a cup of coffee, turn your chair around so you can look at each other and talk. And we want you to be safe. We want you to be healthy. And we want you to live on purpose.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Love you.